Greetings, everyone. My name is Brianna C. Livingston, and for my thesis, I chose to write on social media and its social influence. So, for my journal article presentation, I chose one of the sources that I'll be using entitled Emerging Empowerment Understanding Social Media Users' Sense of Influence. And the article essentially talks about how the public is influenced or influential through social media engagement. Social media engagement. What's that? Well, the authors define social media engagement as cognitive and emotional immersion in the use of social media tools. And to understand this and other topical issues throughout the article, the authors conduct 19 in-depth articles of 45 to 75 minutes, 11 of those being millennials between the ages of 18 and 24, and the remaining 8 being working professionals between the ages of 40 and 65. Now, some topical issues that the authors go in depth about are, of course, social media engagement, 2, social media influence and how individuals perceive themselves on social media, and lastly, organization influence through social media. Now, some key findings that I found with social media engagement: millennials found social media to be more of a platform for information seeking or to find answers, another version of Google essentially. Whereas working professionals used it as a curation of self expression to share with others. Social media influence being another issue, the millennials found themselves to be doubtful on the impact that they have and but could potentially recognize the impact that they may have. Whereas working professionals found information to be influential and depending on the quality comes from specific expertise. Now, where I thought was really interesting was organizational influence through social media. The millennials found themselves to have a limited sense of influence over organizations, whereas working professionals found that active efforts to interact with organizations on social media, especially clients and employers, found it to be extremely beneficial. For my own personal thoughts, I think social media can be extremely influential. So I found it really interesting because I find myself to be a millennial as well. And I didn't necessarily agree with the millennials in the article, but more so the working professionals. Because I know for a fact there are certain organizations that do a lot of interactions on Twitter, especially when consumers express dissent about a particular product or a service that they receive. A lot of companies are willing to offer some sort of compensation or, a heartfelt apology or whatever the case may be. Experience has shown working professionals that social media can be influential, whereas millennials, they really haven't experienced, I guess, the full potential of social media and more so use it as just another platform to find information. So, the usefulness of this article for me, I think, is extremely beneficial because it says on one end how influential it is, and on the other end, for the millennials, I don't think they know exactly how influential it can be until they continue to use it and see how resourceful they can be. So, in conclusion, social media engagement will, I think, always be a thing. It will continue to bring different companies and organizations together and to continue help with like brand management and marketing other things as far as like organizational influence. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the Popeyes chicken sandwich frenzy. That all started on Twitter. So social media has a major impact, and I can't wait to dive in to the rest of my sources to see how impactful social media really is on the masses. Thank you.